And joining us now is Dr. Shashi Tharoor, Congress MP and also former diplomat who has served at the United Nations. Dr. Tharoor, I appreciate your time. India has woken up to Operation Sindoor. The question that arises now is, what can we expect the world, and how do we expect, and in terms of the world reaction, because the very name of this operation is very, very emotive in nature. It is Sindoor, that word vermilion, which is very, ingrained in the Indian culture.
That's right, and it was a reminder of the newlywed girl mourning her husband while they were on honeymoon and he was shot dead in front of her. It's a real emotional reminder of what this is all about. I must say that the action was absolutely the right thing to do. I would say that India has conducted itself with a tremendous amount of thought, calculation, and calibration. The message it has sent is, number one, to the Pakistani terrorists, there will be a price to pay for terror. But number two, it's pointed out really to the world that we have done everything in such a way that we are not putting a foot on the escalatory ladder. We attacked them at night when there were no civilians likely to be about, so there would be no collateral damage. 1:30 in the morning is not when people are wandering around the streets. We hit facilities that have served as terror infrastructure, but we were not there to kill civilians, unlike the terrorists. We also made it a point to very carefully ensure that we did not strike Pakistani military facilities or government facilities, not because we believe the military has nothing to do. On the contrary, we believe the military was very, very much behind training, guiding, equipping, financing, and directing these terrorists. But nonetheless, to show that we are not interested in seeing this or portraying this as the opening salvo in a protracted war, we are just trying to do what is necessary to avenge the death of 26 innocent civilians. Now, this was basically the very pragmatic approach, and I believe that if you survey the international reactions, Maria, that have come so far, that there is some understanding. 3 countries, France, Russia, and Israel, have explicitly expressed some understanding for India's right to defend itself against terrorism. Other countries have been muted in their language. Everyone has called for de-escalation, restraint, and so on, which is fine, because we are not interested in escalation.
Absolutely.
The Chinese, who are Pakistan's quote-unquote all-weather friend, and who might have been expected to back Pakistan more directly, have actually said that both India and Pakistan are our neighbors, and we don't want to see fighting and conflict between them. We want to recommend diplomacy and negotiation and calm and so on, which is, again, constructive language. So if I were to draw a conclusion from all of this, Maria, it would be that I believe the world as a whole does not want to see war and will be counseling restraint to Pakistan. So, remember, the ball is in Pakistan's court. If they take an escalatory step, we are ready and we will respond. I have no doubt about that. But at the same time, if these countries counsel Pakistan that, after all, India had a right to respond, India has responded thoughtfully and in a limited manner.
Yes.
Pakistan has shelled across the LOC and killed 10 of our civilians. They claim to have shot down a couple of jets. We have no confirmation of that. If they have, then they could certainly be allowed to say that honor is more than satisfied, and they should then calm down. That is certainly my view, that's what the international community is likely to be saying to them.
But
if hotheads in Pakistan behave differently, well, then they've got a response coming.
But Mr. Tharoor, let me ask you this then. This is the expectation. I mean, any sane country would, of course, be advising Pakistan not to step on that escalatory ladder at this moment. But the fact remains that there is a reason why Pahalgam took place. There was a red line that was crossed. At this moment, it is also being seen as the Pakistani army, and specifically the Pakistani army chief, the kind of warmongering that we have seen from their side, only trying to strengthen their position, and hence all these advices may not at this moment work on Pakistan. Do you actually believe, given the way the country is placed at this moment, that Pakistan will back down?
No, look, I had argued already, and I'm sure that there's not much disagreement on this, that one of the motives behind this attack was certainly that the army was in a difficult position. It was increasingly unpopular in Pakistan. They have locked up their most popular leader, Imran Khan. The economy was stagnating, and this would have been a useful diversion from their own domestic woes. Plus, it would give the army an opportunity to once again portray itself as a savior of the nation. I think that was definitely a factor in their thinking. But remember that India has demonstrated a certain level of resolution, a certain amount of courage and resolve, which would have sent a strong message back there. The military cannot act alone. They need international backing, they need equipment, they need weaponry, they need finance. Currently, they need fuel as well, not all of which I believe they have an unlimited quantity. So that if Pakistan were to make the mistake of escalation and India were to respond in kind, you have to ask yourself which country is more likely to be able to sustain a longer conflict. I don't believe the answer is Pakistan. I think that the Pakistanis ultimately will run out of steam before India does. And that's why I'm not sure that saner minds will counsel the Pakistanis to try the escalation route. But in any case, our armed forces are on alert. Our paramilitary have had their leaves cancelled. We're all going through mock drills. The country is ready and on alert. As far as I'm concerned, the message to Pakistan is, we don't want war. You don't need to go there. But if you do, you're going to get it. And I think that's the right message to send.
Dr. Tharoor, I want you to wear a former diplomat's hat now and explain to us in terms of the reaction which has come in from the Security Council. They have, called for restraint, and in any context of military escalation which we are seeing between India and Pakistan, there could be some kind of consultations as well. Are you sensing that play out, or are you of the opinion that UNSC has lost its steam and its relevance?
No, frankly, what the Security Council says is exactly what you would expect the Security Council to say. I mean, the honest truth of the matter is that we're looking at a situation where restraint needs to be exercised only by Pakistan because India is already restrained. We're not going to do anything more. Our signal is very clear. This is a one-off. We've sent our message where it's over from our point of view. So who is supposed to be restrained? It is them. It is the Pakistanis. And so the call for restraint is fine with us. I don't see a problem with that. In any case, Maria, the next stage, the next step, what happens next, the ball is very much in Pakistan's court. We are ready, but I don't think we're going to initiate anything more. I'd be very surprised if there was any initiated action by India tonight.
Dr. Tharoor, in terms of the domestic reaction, we have seen the entire political class stand in unison, back the security forces, the armed forces. The messaging is that the Indian polity doesn't want to give mixed signals. It doesn't want to be seen to be divided at this juncture. Do you think it's essential to send that message?
Absolutely. And I think I'm very glad my own party was the first off the block in speaking for the nation and talking about national unity and saying we stand solidly behind the government and the armed forces. I think that's the right message to send. I hope all parties will do exactly that, because right now, this is the need of the hour. There can always be time later for discussions and debates about merits of this and that. Right now, while the nation is still on alert, we have to stand around the flag, and we do, all of us.
Tharoor, also there are a couple of, few different things that took place in this operation that possibly did not in the other strikes that India had carried out post, Pulwama attacks as well. And then when we conducted the Balakot strikes, number one, of course, even within the domestic audience at that point of time, there were a lot of people questioning about, how these strikes were conducted, whether there were video evidence, so on and so forth. This time, those video evidences have been released by the armed forces in their briefing. And the other big distinction also is the government, reaching out to the opposition before the attacks and also now calling for an all-party meeting. Sir, how significant is that?
I think that's a very, very good message. Honestly, I'm very much in favor of the government trying to take the entire nation along with it. This is a national issue. It's not about any particular party, whether in power or in the opposition. It affects every one of us. And I must say, that the manner in which our signaling today to Pakistan and to the international community took place was very well done. The briefing this morning, for example, conducted by the Foreign Secretary, who was himself a Kashmiri Pandit, flanked by two women officers, which was a wonderful gesture, one of whom was a Muslim, to demonstrate this is not a Hindu-Muslim issue, as some Pakistanis are trying to portray. General Munir talks about the impossibility of Hindus and Muslims living together. We were demonstrating we're not only united, we are India against terror. We are India against the Pakistanis' evil machinations. We are not divided within ourselves. What a wonderful message to send. I'm proud of that.
Dr. Tharoor, just taking that thought ahead, what Ankit has just spoken about in terms of video evidence, all the significance of each and every target, the 9 targets which have been destroyed by India, and the point that has been explained in details of how it was struck, the video evidence, do you think it actually silences all the critics and those who questioned whether there were attacks carried out, in fact, strikes carried out by India post-Uri and post-Pulwama?
I mean, silencing critics, and so I don't think we have too many critics at the moment at home. I think that in any case, what was important here was that what we have done has been done well, professionally, in a calibrated and calculated manner, and thanks to the video evidence, it has been seen to be done. But at the same time, as I said earlier, we're not here to kill people. We are there to convey very clearly that we are hitting terrorist infrastructure. That's all we've done. We've done so at night when no one's about. All of these things, I think, are part of the messaging, Maria, and that's what we've done. As far as I'm concerned, the fact that we have presented this to the nation and to the world is fine. Now, as you know, the Pakistanis are claiming that they have knocked down a couple of our planes. We have to await any confirmation or denial from the government of India. That still hasn't come across. But as far as everything else is concerned, any other criticisms or whatever you're talking about, the time for all of those discussions is not now. Whatever accountability, whatever inquiry the government needs to do in its own interest, it will do, it should do. But right now, we should all stand behind our armed forces. That's very simply the message of every party, every patriotic Indian today.
Dr. Shashi Tharoor, I think that is the right note on which this discussion should end. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Maria.
On NDTV.